Have you ever sat across the table from your grown children, perhaps over a cup of coffee, and heard them say something that just didn't feel right with you? Something that made your stomach twist just a bit, but you brushed it off because, well, they are your children. You adore them. You have watched them grow from a newborn in your arms to an adult with opinions, ambitions, and difficulties. So when they say something rude or dismissive, it's easy to make excuses. They're just tired. They didn't mean it. Perhaps I'm being too emotional. But what if I told you some of those phrases, those small, rude things they say, aren't just offhanded comments? What if those phrases are signs? Obvious signs that the relationship is out of balance and, even worse, that it might be hurting you? Now, I'm not talking about the ordinary disagreements any parent and adult child will go through. That's part of life. We all experience times of frustration or misunderstanding. But I'm talking about patterns, about phrases that reveal an attitude, a lack of respect, a lack of caring. Words that, when mentioned regularly or with intent, can chip away at your dignity and your peace of mind. This video isn't about losing hope on your children. It's about standing up for yourself. It's about knowing when a boundary has been crossed and having the courage to step away from people, even your own family, when they have stopped treating you with love and respect. Let me ask you something. Have you seen your son or daughter say, "You were never there for me," with anger in their voice, many years after you've done all that you could? Working 2 jobs, making sacrifices, and putting your whole heart into parenting them? It cuts deep, doesn't it? It makes you question everything. But here's what I want to tell you: you are not perfect, but you gave what you had. And if somebody refuses to understand that, refuses to see your efforts because they're too intent on blame, you need to safeguard your peace. So let's talk about these phrases, the ones that don't really hurt but reveal something bigger, something toxic. The first one is this: "You owe me now." That can come in various forms. Perhaps they don't say it directly. Sometimes it's hidden in statements like, "After all I've been through because of you," or, "I wouldn't be struggling if you had done something better." But the message is the same: you owe them your time, your wealth, and your guilt. It's as if they're holding your love hostage, awaiting you to pay a debt you never agreed to. And that's not love, that's manipulation. You know, love from a child should be built on appreciation. It doesn't mean children can't express hurt or ask uncomfortable questions about the past. But when they demand compensation for the way they were brought up, when they weaponize your responsibilities as a parent, that's when it becomes toxic. You don't owe your grown-up children your retirement savings. You don't owe them your emotional energy each and every day, particularly when it's wasted without care or appreciation. If an adult child is using guilt to control you, that's not family. That's emotional blackmail. The second phrase to watch out for is this: "You're just old, you wouldn't understand." Now that one stings in a different manner, doesn't it? It's not loud or forceful, yet it's dismissive. It makes you feel invisible, like your insight, experience, and all you've learned in your life simply count for nothing. You may have lived through conflicts, downturns, family losses, personal successes, sorrows, and miracles, and all of it is swept away with one word: old. Let me tell you something right now: getting old doesn't make you insignificant. In fact, it makes you more precious. You've seen something many haven't. You've survived something others can't imagine. But if your child uses your age to silence you or disrespect you, they're not being progressive, they're being rude. Don't accept it. You have every right to express your opinion, your advice, and your concern, particularly when it comes from love. Age isn't a vulnerability, it's a strength. And if anyone you raised forgets it, it's not your responsibility to convince them. It's your responsibility to protect your worth. Sometimes it means stepping back, emotionally or possibly physically, until they appreciate who you are and what you've done. The third phrase that should raise every single red flag in your heart is this: "If you don't help me, I'll figure it out without you." At first glance, that sounds independent. But listen attentively to the sound behind it. Is it said with maturity, or is it a threat? Is it a statement of independence or a demand meant to compel you into doing what they want? In many cases, adult children use this kind of statement for manipulation. They make false choices, either you give them what they want, or they walk away. And as a parent, that's terrifying. The fear of being shut out of their lives might cause you to give in over and over again. But that kind of connection isn't founded on love, it's founded on fear. And love, true love, is not a threat. I need your help, and I appreciate it, not, give it to me, or I'll disappear. If your child is only close when they want something, if their love lies in what you offer, then what you have isn't a relationship, it's a transaction. And you are worth more than that. You've spent many years maintaining your life, your home, and your experiences. This stage of life is supposed to be peaceful. It's supposed to be filled with happiness, purpose, and real connection, not expectations or walking on eggshells. I understand that it's not easy walking away, even emotionally, from a person you love with your whole heart. It goes contrary to all the instincts you have as a parent. But sometimes love means saying, enough. In certain instances, protecting yourself is the most helpful thing you can do, because it teaches the other individual how to treat you. It sets a boundary that says, I will not be mistreated like this. You're not abandoning your children by setting a boundary. You're telling them that respect goes both ways, that your worth does not diminish with age, and that your love is a gift, not a debt to be paid. And I promise you, once you reclaim your dignity, the moment you no longer tolerate disrespect simply because it comes from family members, you'll feel more comfortable and stronger. Let's keep going, because what we're learning here might save you years of sorrow and mental strain. The next phrase to be aware of is this one: you're the reason I turned out this way. Now, I understand that parenting comes with mistakes. Every single parent, regardless of how caring, has times they wish they could do differently. That's part of being human. But when an adult child repeatedly blames you for who they are now without ever taking accountability for their own decisions, it creates a cycle of blame. And it's a heavy weight that no parent deserves to carry around forever. You could hear it at times of disagreement or when they're going through a difficult moment. Perhaps they say, if you had been more supportive, I wouldn't have stress, or, if you'd raised me differently, I'd have a better life today. And again, since you're their parent, it hurts deeply. You start doubting every decision you made, each time you said no, and each sacrifice you believed was right. But here's the reality: parenting a child doesn't mean you take on permanent responsibility for their adult outcomes. They have free will. They've made decisions as mature individuals, and those decisions are theirs. Blaming you for their imperfections can make them feel better in the moment, but it keeps them from improving. It keeps them stuck, and it keeps you caught in a cycle of shame. You didn't raise a perfect child, just like you weren't a perfect parent. But if you raised them with love, did your best, and continued showing up even when situations were difficult, then you've done your job. The rest? That's on them. Never let them hang their life around your neck like a chain. And if they keep on doing that, regardless of your efforts to stand by them and move forward, if they cannot have a single conversation without dragging you through the past, then it might be time to take a step back. Not because you don't care, but because you care too much to keep allowing them to hurt you this way. Now, the next phrase could come out during severe disagreements, or perhaps even in a time of cold calm, and it's this one: you never truly loved me. If you've ever heard your child say this to you, I want you to pause and take a deep breath right now, because I understand that cuts deep. That one statement can feel like someone took everything that you've ever done, every hug, every meal prepared, every late night waiting for them to return home, and threw it all out the window. But let's face reality: that statement is not just hurting, it's wicked. Love isn't always perfect, and on rare occasions love doesn't look the way others think it should. Perhaps you weren't excessively affectionate. Perhaps you weren't always there. But you offered what you had, and love isn't measured by lavish gestures. It's measured by regularity, by showing up, by staying around, and by making the hard decisions even when they weren't appreciated. For somebody to erase all of it with one statement. It's not just unfair, it's a kind of emotional attack. It's sometimes used to win a disagreement or to make you feel so devastated that you give in, apologize, or ask for forgiveness for something you didn't even do. You cannot spend the rest of your life defending yourself to a person who has decided to forget your love. If they're willing to use your heart against you, that's not a child seeking healing, it's someone seeking to control. And in some cases the strongest act of love is letting go. You don't have to keep proving yourself to a person who has already made up their mind. True love doesn't need to be convinced. It can see even when situations aren't perfect. If your child really loved you, they wouldn't try to break your heart with statements like that. They wouldn't want to watch you cry. They wouldn't want to be the cause of your sorrow.